Late one stormy night of a quiet industrial city, an abandoned warehouse stood silently under the flashing light of distant lightning. To anyone passing by, the building looked completely empty. Just another forgotten structure slowly falling apart with time. But beneath the cracked concrete floor, hidden deep underground, a secret operation had been taking place for years. Powerful criminals, corrupt businessmen, and wealthy figures from different countries gathered there in complete secrecy. What they came for was not art, luxury cars, or rare collectibles. They came to participate in something far darker, a hidden auction that most people would never believe existed. Inside the underground hall, dim lights flickered across a large table surrounded by men dressed in expensive suits. Armed guards stood silently in the shadows, making sure no one entered or left without permission. At the center of the room, a bright spotlight illuminated a small stage where the night's item would soon appear. The atmosphere was tense but strangely calm, as if everyone present had done this many times before. Among the men sitting around the table were some of the most dangerous individuals involved in organized crime. For them, the auction was simply business. They whispered quietly among themselves while drinking expensive liquor, waiting for the event to begin. Finally, the auctioneer stepped forward and raised a wooden gavel above the table. The room slowly fell silent as everyone turned their attention toward the stage. Moments later, guards escorted a frightened young woman into the light. Her name was Emily Carter, a 19-year-old college student who had disappeared just a few days earlier while walking home after finishing her shift at a small cafe. Her family had reported her missing, but investigators had no idea where she had gone. What they didn't know was that Emily had been captured by a human trafficking network connected to an international crime organization. The auctioneer cleared his throat and spoke calmly, as if he were announcing the sale of an expensive painting. He explained the rules briefly and then began the bidding. The starting price was $1 million. For a moment, the room remained quiet. Then one hand slowly rose from the crowd. Another followed shortly after. The bidding had begun. The numbers climbed quickly as wealthy criminals competed with each other. $2 million, $3 million, $4 million. Each new bid echoed across the underground hall. Emily sat helplessly under the bright spotlight, listening as strangers decided her fate with nothing more than numbers. Just as the bidding reached $5 million, something unexpected happened. The heavy metal door at the far end of the room slowly opened. A bright beam of light cut across the dark hall as a tall figure stepped inside. Instantly, every person in the room turned toward the entrance. Standing there was a man whose face many of them recognized immediately. His name was Alexander Graves, a billionaire businessman whose companies controlled industries worth billions of dollars around the world. Known for being extremely private and powerful, Alexander rarely appeared in public. Seeing him inside a secret underground auction shocked everyone in the room. Alexander walked calmly toward the table, his footsteps echoing softly across the concrete floor. The guards watched him carefully, but did not stop him. Without saying a word, he took a seat among the other bidders and observed the situation in front of him. The auctioneer hesitated for a moment but then continued the bidding. $6 million. $7 million. The tension in the room grew heavier with each new offer. Emily looked around desperately, hoping someone might help her. But every face she saw remained cold and indifferent. Then Alexander slowly raised his hand. The room fell completely silent. The auctioneer looked at him carefully before asking for his bid. In a calm and steady voice, Alexander said, $10 million. Gasps spread across the room. None of the other bidders were willing to go that high. The auctioneer looked around one final time before raising the gavel. $10 million going once, going twice. Sold. The gavel slammed loudly against the table. For a moment, nothing moved. Emily felt her heart sink as she realized the auction was over. Alexander stood up and walked slowly toward the stage where she was sitting. The guards shifted nervously as he approached. When he reached the center of the room, he turned toward the mafia leaders sitting around the table. Then he spoke 3 simple words. Let her go. At first, no one understood what he meant. One of the criminals laughed, assuming it was a joke. After all, Alexander's had just paid $10 million. Why would he suddenly ask for the victim to be released? But Alexander's expression did not change. Instead, he repeated the same words again, calmly but firmly. Let her go. Before anyone could react, loud police sirens suddenly echoed from outside the warehouse. Red and blue lights flashed through the small windows above the underground hall. Panic spread instantly among the criminals as they realized what was happening. Within seconds, armed police officers stormed into the building above them. The secret auction had been discovered. Alexander had been secretly working with investigators for months, helping them locate the hidden operation and gather enough evidence to shut it down. By participating in the auction, he had given authorities the final proof they needed. As police flooded the underground room, guards dropped their weapons and criminals attempted to escape. But the exits were already surrounded. Within minutes, the entire operation collapsed. Emily was quickly untied and escorted safely outside. After days of fear and uncertainty, she was finally free. Police vehicles filled the area around the warehouse as officers arrested the people responsible for running the illegal auction. Standing near the flashing lights, Alexander watched quietly as the operation came to an end. For years, the secret underground auction had remained hidden from the world. But that night, it was finally exposed. And for Emily Carter, the young woman who had nearly been sold to the highest bidder, it was the beginning of a second chance at life.